It's abundantly obvious that Activision-Blizzard are not the most popular bunch these days, and it's an interesting thing. For the longest time, they said, even to their own staff, that the good times were always just around the corner. Now, of course, we're around that corner, and we can actually see what is there. And broadly speaking, it is games that are pretty good, as just games made by designers, but also games that as overall products have severe issues. What's became clear is they want our time and our money. Now, that is a fair thing. It just needs to be a fair exchange of our time and money in return for whatever we get from the publisher. And that is when the feelings of being nickel and dimed don't rest easy with the customer. And that is exactly the problem we're seeing now. More egregious business models, right? Because the way that they're handling their battle passes and handling their microtransactions do actually manage, with just that little bit of extra craftiness, to stick out in the industry. And if you are coming to this video being somebody that knows of Diablo 4, knows of Overwatch 2, but maybe doesn't know as much about World of Warcraft, trust me, I've got a great story about the goddamn crafty thing that they have just started doing in World of Warcraft, and I think you're going to love it, or at the very least find it grimly interesting. So that's the situation. Amazing as games, really honestly quite dubious as products. So let's dive in to the microtransactions of Activision-Blizzard and go across the whole group in a worldwide tour provided by our sponsor. Polish up your goopy gamer brain. I mean, I know mine needs it. And if you want to learn topics like maths and computer science, essentially become that modern day wizard, then interactively break big problems down into small ones, learn and understand with brilliant.org/Bellular News, where the first 200 to click my link get 20% off an annual plan, and where they've got a 30-day free trial. So why not? It's worth it. I mean, take the number crunching that goes into video games, right? Well, if you got started learning the fundamentals of computer science, a 3-part course that takes you through the pillars of the field, then perhaps hit up neural nets and algorithms, then you'll get a really good understanding of how things actually work. In one of the games that I play back in the Battle for Azeroth expansion, lag in the game completely exploded. It got insane, and the reason why is the sort of thing you will learn here. And they do so much more, partnering with amazing creators like Sabine Hossenfelder, Real Engineering, and Kurzgesagt. Brilliant basically takes the stuff that wasn't fun in school unless you had a total legend of a teacher, and it actually makes it exciting and fun. Approaching things here as an adult, I get a sense of accomplishment. It boosts my day. I think their quiz-based approach to learning is exactly the right way, so you can get started now. First 200 to click my link get 20% off at brilliant.org/Bellular News, and then, of course, just go for the 30-day free trial. All right, that's brilliant. Check them out, and let's go. World of Warcraft, my home territory. This is going to be a fun one. Of course, World of Warcraft having a paid subscription would usually insulate it from most of the bad. Now, of course, MMOs have changed a bit. The two largest MMOs right now, Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft, both sell additional services such as leveling boosts, job boosts, that kind of thing, character services, and of course, forms of cosmetic content on their in-game stores. World of Warcraft also has WoW Token, which is an innovation that is borrowed from CCP Games, who are the Icelandic developer of EVE Online, who of course pioneered the pilot license extension, Plex, which is basically just a way to kind of buy gold in-game, but all in a way that is actually taking part in the player economy. Kind of interesting, but it's old news. Today, what I want to focus on is the new thing that most non-WoW players will have no idea about, but makes for a great story. This is the Trading Post, right? Now, the Trading Post is a little area in Stormwind and Orgrimmar. You go there, you click in the NPC, and what you get is, every single month, a different set of cosmetic items that you can purchase. Now, they're purchased for a currency called Trader's Tender. You get 500 Trader's Tender from owning the Dragonflight expansion. You get 500 Trader's Tender per month that your account has subscription. And if you don't log in for a month, you don't lose it or anything. Then, of course, you get 500 a month by just playing the game. And that means for most people, you get 1,000 Trader's Tender a month. And for that Trader's Tender, you buy items on the store. Blizzard's intent, of course, is you can't buy everything in the store every single month, But that is going to be something that they think will feel a bit more okay, because as time goes on, things will rotate in and out of the store, and broadly speaking, it's just a little bit more spice and reinforcement to play the game. And broadly speaking, players actually really liked it. It was a way for Blizzard to give people access to new cosmetics. It wasn't some crazy paid thing on top of your subscription. If you wanted a cool cloak or a scarf or whatever, you could just go and get it. It actually felt good to players. It was a smart move. However, then things began to change. We found this, the Guardian Pack. Right here, you can see it costs £6.80 in the UK. Now, this gives you basically 3 items. But the disclaimer text says that this is a time-limited deal until May 31st, so it leaves the store at that point. But items from the pack will arrive on the trading post between September 1st and December 31st, 2023. So the idea here is, hey, do you want this thing early? If so, buy it now. Also, if you buy it now, then you won't have to buy it with your limited trader's tender in the future. What happens if these items come into the store in, between September and December, and the store just happens to be very expensive that month? Well, that actually is going to be the case. So suffice to say, people who are maybe caught between getting the new shiny thing that's appeared in the store or the Guardian Pack, if they've already bought the Guardian Pack, they're going to feel pretty good about all the tender that they saved. Now, this is where it gets interesting. A whole bunch of assets were data mined, and they looked like almost, mobile game gem bundles. They look like that. Ian Hasecosta said, nope, we are not going to be selling Traders Tender directly. They may be a part of, quote, significant bundles. Now, at the time, he mentioned like the collector's edition of an expansion. He said, hey, if the collector's edition has got some Trader's Tender in it, that's pretty good, because then somebody gets the cosmetic that they know they definitely want, instead of just something that we've bundled in that they may not like. And you know what? I think the Trader's Tender is just about a perfect thing to put on the collector's edition, tier of a game. That makes a lot of sense. But we always thought significant bundles. So expansion editions and perhaps the BlizzCon virtual ticket, but probably not anything more. That, however, everybody, is where things changed. And they've changed in the form of a genuine microtransaction. The Corsage Pack. It costs £4.50, right? And it contains 2 corsages. These are just like little flower things you put in your wrist. Now, those corsages, there were other corsages that I believe were on the store, and they cost either 150 or 100 Traders Tender. So it contains 2 of those worth 200 Traders Tender, but it also contains just 200 Traders Tender. So it is directly sold as a part of this bundle. Now, because of the way this bundle is, people are thinking, that's not a significant bundle. And now we're basically all thinking, oh shit, I know what they're doing. They're turning the screw. They're increasing the pressure. They are going to make the store more expensive as the months go on, but then they're going to start selling more and more small bundles with bonus tender in them. This very much seems like the start of that. Many would say, or at least a few months ago, hey, you're making a slippery slope argument. Well, now that we have slid down that slope, I think we can look at how far we've slid and how much mud we're covered in. And this is where it gets interesting. So here, I calculated the cost, right? I've calculated every single month of the trading post. Remember, you get 1,000 per month. So February, 5,025. March, 4,650. April, 4,725. May, 4,075. June, 5,750. You may think, oh, June, that's getting a wee bit more pricey. Oh boy, July, 6,200. However, they did give us a bonus 200 that could be earned in-game for July and August. But August is where it really accelerated, because the total cost of the trading post in August is 8,200. That is actually double the cost of May. And August is also the month where they had a $15 transmog that will be in the trading store or the trading post in the future. So they just did the Guardian Pack thing again. Now, of course, in the context of seeing how expensive this trading post is, a lot of people will think, oh boy, I really want to save those tender when I can. Then they also did the Corsage Pack, so you can get another 200. But here's where it gets more interesting. And it is these. These are class-based sets of armor. You can see here, these are the main bits of armor that kind of define the silhouette of a character. They're designed for mixing and matching. We got those. We have some, look at these paladin weapons. They look pretty sick, right? Now, the weapons cost 500. And the armor for one class, of course, costs 450. That's 950, and bear in mind that one earns a maximum of 1,000 every single month. They're doing 3 classes a month, and then in December there'll be 4 classes. So that is like 2,850 more tender. And then other items have been data mined as well. So if we look at this price trend where we see August being 8,200, that is either going to stay the same or continue. So to recap what we've seen here, they've started putting more and more and more tender in the game, right, with this Corsage bundle. At the same time, they have increased the cost of the items and the quantity of items they're putting into the store every single month, going from 5,000 to now 8,200. So essentially, they are setting things up so the tender will be something that they can monetize via these small bundles like the Corsage pack or the Guardian pack. And when you think about it, what is their goal? It is to increase the average revenue per user. We're at a stage in the life cycle of the Dragonflight expansion where, look, this is an expansion that's retaining people really well, but it's not getting a lot of new people in. Of course, you still want to make line go up, therefore, you try to make more money out of the people that you do have. This is exactly how they are doing it. Now, it's this, the phrase to turn the screw, right? To increase the pressure. This is what actually made me make this video. I just thought, oh yeah, they're totally screwing up the pressure here. I think we should do a recap of all the things they're doing across their business so that people can understand how the company is trying to make money out of them. So that's World of Warcraft covered. However, next, we're going to go to Call of Duty. Now, Call of Duty still retails for 70 USD. Warzone is free to play, and both COD and Warzone all share the same microtransaction store. Now, if you go to the Steam store, and remember, this is on the Steam store, just bonus packs. You see a total of £343. That's maybe, I forget what the exact exchange rate is. Maybe that's like $550, $600, something like that. Anyway, it's quite a lot of money. Of course, you then add to that Call of Duty points for all the things that you buy in-game with COD points. Then we have got the DMZ bundles, which, as I've covered numerous times in this channel, do contain like mild pay-to-win elements, but they still are player power for buying the thing. So, I'm sorry, it's the principle that counts. Now, within Call of Duty, there is actually the option to earn enough Call of Duty points within a battle pass to purchase the next battle pass. This is something that is not done in Diablo 4 or in Overwatch 2. So usually there is 300 per season on the free track or 1,300 COD points on the full battle pass. But the thing is, very obviously, you can just spend those in-game. Most of the desirable bundles cost 2,400 points, or as the community are now really quite pissed off about, since May, they've started to put those out at 3,000 points. But the point is that while, your battle pass gives you 1,300 points, and you can buy the next battle pass with it, the real goal is to bring you into the ecosystem, right? Now, the thing is, what if you want Black Cell? Because Black Cell is their latest revenue innovation, and this is something that actually was soaring up the Steam charts. It was doing that well, and that's just people buying it through Steam. So Black Cell is a premium battle pass on top of the paid battle pass that gives you additional rewards that can only be purchased with real money. So it itself has got like new unique things. But also Black Cell basically, it changes up some of the pathing in the Battle Pass to give you a bit more freedom and unlock some of the more high-ticket things a bit earlier. At least one of the Black Cell passes did that. And yes, every time Black Cell releases, it goes to near the top of the Steam charts. Of course, that's not even considering the in-game spending money, because the thing that goes up the Steam charts, I believe, is actually the Black Cell bundle, because that is listed as a piece of DLC on the Steam platform. So as we can see here, the seasonal Call of Duty model is something that's really defining what an Activision-Blizzard game is going to be looking like in the future. And even if one looks at the very ill-advised Crash Team Rumble, which is not getting a full section in today's video because frankly it's just not that important of a game, but it did launch with a free battle pass for pre-ordered copies, and of course, if you didn't pre-order, then yeah, you got to pony up for the battle pass. That's of course to get that continued engagement after launch. Now of course, as we know, these are practices that are making their way over from Call of Duty towards the other games. So let's talk about Overwatch 2. I'll do this quick because we've talked about this game a lot anyway. So there's one good positive here, and that is no loot boxes. The problem, of course, is everything else that followed, because look, with those loot boxes, they sucked, but every time you leveled up, you got one. And that meant that your average Joe playing the game could, during a new event, actually have a shot at getting those new skins and stuff by just playing the game. That is essentially dead now. So Overwatch 2 has followed the COD seasonal model, but it's actually made things so much worse. Number one, rapid seasons, but the Battle Pass on the store launched the same day as the game, unlike in Call of Duty where that stuff's actually delayed post-launch. New characters are locked behind the Battle Pass, and the Battle Pass does not have enough currency within it to purchase your next Battle Pass. This immediately drew a lot of ire. Progression was kind of slow, everything felt messy, it started as a bad product and continued on as such. Some things have got better. At least when they do events now, they contain an absolute boatload of XP, and unfortunately, sometimes Jeff Bezos will give you some Battle Pass tiers because that's the world that we live in. Thanks, Jeff. Now, to continue, you've got the in-game challenges, right? These are part of the free-to-play model. Now, these in-game challenges, if you did all of your weekly challenges from launch, it would have taken you from launch to May of 2023 to be able to afford a legendary skin. So it's pretty bad if a game is saying, hey, either grind for 6 months or pay $20. The rotating store, the thing that is actually, one's attention is drawn to, it only really shows things in the context of a bundle. And these are skin bundles that usually just have, honestly, a bunch of shite thrown into them that people won't exactly want. Now, here's the Cyber Mega bundle, right? But do you know what the really funny thing is? And by the way, this bundle's it's got a whole bunch of stuff. You can see 3,200 Overwatch points instead of the 7,700 that all of these things would otherwise cost. Of course, you can see there's 3 legendary skins. So in short, you can play the game for very minimal reward, or you can just buy rewards of all kinds. This, of course, is a bad incentive to actually play the game. Going forward, though, we're going to have paid campaign missions. These were controversial because the game was supposed to come with this PvE stuff, but of course they had a very seemingly necessary production pivot. Now, here's the odd thing. Technically speaking, in terms of value, the missions only cost $5, but they don't, because the only way to buy them is to get the $15 bundle, which does contain 1,000 Overwatch coins, which is enough for the premium battle pass, meaning it's a $10 equivalent. It also comes with a brand new Sojourn legendary skin, $19 value, and permanent access to Sojourn as a playable hero for new players. And of course the missions. So you can see there, it's $29 value plus whatever value you put to the missions. Or you could buy the Ultimate Invasion bundle at $40, which contains a $30 value premium battle pass, then 1,000 coins more for a total of 2,000 coins, which is a $20 value, meaning, and also 2 legendary skins for Cassidy and Kiriko at $38. So that's what, $38, 58, 68, 78, $88 of value for $40. You can quite clearly see what they're doing here. Now, in the case of those missions, look, they were pretty good. They felt like, I think Stylosa called them Archives Plus. I would totally agree with him there. They feel like Archives Plus. I think they're actually really fun content to do with a group of people, but overall, as a value proposition, as a broad product, it ain't working. That basically means this stuff all sucks. I do actually have a battle plan for how Overwatch 2 could, I don't want to say saved, but how it could be significantly redeemed. I will not belabor that point, and I shall do that as a future video. I do at least want to try to give back, or at least throw some ideas into the mix that allow Overwatch 2 to be a free-to-play game that people might actually like to play. Because at the very least, if I do that, then I suppose that idea can be the anvil upon which Blizzard are hammered. That seems a bit aggro. Okay, Diablo 4. So this is a game at the start of its life cycle, and it's only getting started on its monetization journey. It's just a monetization toddler. Go easy on it. Of course, it's a paid game. It has no free-to-play option like with Warzone. It costs $70, had a store from day one, a battle pass tied to the seasons. But where it is different is, of course, the expectations of continued paid expansions, which will significantly alter the base game, likely in the way that Reaper of Souls did. Now, on the seasonal model, it is the ubiquitous situation, a free pass that contains shite, a $10 premium one, and a $25 fast premium tier. Now, these run in 3-month blocks, and of course, they went for the rather meme-like, oh, it's the number of the beast, 666, that's how much premium currency you get, when of course, that's actually not enough premium currency to buy anything in the in-game shop, I believe, certainly not anything you'd actually want, and it's of course not enough to buy the next battle pass, which in a game that has an upfront cost, I think is really shitty and terrible. So that's not particularly great. And on the store, the developers have been very adamant that they don't want players to feel like anything available in the store is necessarily better than what they can get in the game visually. This, of course, is, they want them to not be wacky and stay in the aesthetic sort of base of the game. That's a load of BS. Now, there are some of them, like, say, the Shadow Walker one, which, like, you can see it still feels... I mean, look, they all do feel quite Diablo 4, but the thing is, if you want to actually lean into an aesthetic, have your rogue almost have this like backstory told in their gear that, they spent time in the forests hunting pelts and how they, they wear wolves and shit. Like, that seems like the sort of thing that should be in-game armor. No, it's not. There's one that's like a sort of a jester, an evil-looking stabby jester. Looks really cool. Premium. And when you compare it to the very, very vanilla-looking ones that you get just by playing the game, no, absolutely, this is a cash shop that feels like a cash shop. It feels bad. It doesn't feel like more options. It feels like if you want any options other than the sort of default small, like, I don't know, Venn diagram, whatever, of gear, of aesthetics, you gotta pony up. Now, that feels bad because some of these bundles, like the Wraith bundle, Wraith Lord, was 40% of the base price of the game. So D4, absolutely very overpriced. Now, I don't have other things in our show notes today prepared by the, as always, wonderful Connor and our team. However, there are some other things. A really good example is Hearthstone, where they did the Battlegrounds mode, the Auto Battler, and the only way that they could really monetize the Auto Battler mode of Hearthstone was... funny enough, to just sell cosmetics. Now, that didn't, earn them as much money as they wanted, evidently, because there were mild pay-to-win elements in the next thing they tried, Mercenaries. But the community just bounced back against Mercenaries so hard that, they canceled that mode. So now they're back to just trying to really dip into their whales hard. And man, some of that whaling is pretty damn crazy. Right now, there's, because they have these like premium signature cards, right? They're like, diamond crazy looking things. And, I remember there was like a diamond Drakthar card that cost a stupid amount of money. And they actually went back in that and refunded everybody. But this new one they've done for the Titans expansion, it's 3 cards for like $45. It's like, man, 3 legendaries for $45? Like, that's crazy. And I know we're in a world where, Post Malone buys the One Ring in Magic the Gathering. But still, I think you get my point. And even Hearthstone, it is quite ridiculous in the, in how its monetization is going. So really, all of this is to say, things are actually getting, they are actually getting a bit worse. And I want to return to World of Warcraft just for another example of something. Because a lot of people say to me, hey, you don't need to buy these. To which I say, look, if you're playing Overwatch 2 and you're playing Overwatch 2 just because you think it's fun and you want to be better, more power to you. That's actually how I play Overwatch 2. Again, I think Overwatch 2 is an excellent game, but a bad product. Now, whenever I play it, I have fun, I stop. I try not to be extrinsically motivated by shiny things in Overwatch 2 because I understand that is just not going to be a winning proposition for me. If I want my goopy brain to be tickled about, maybe I just go and play a single player game that's going to be very rewarding to play, or even something with some creativity, like, I don't know, like, honestly, even in Minecraft. But in World of Warcraft, there's such a clear example of how this type of monetization is actually bad for players. So in WoW, of course, you have mounts, right? Now, back in the day, and I think everybody who's played WoW probably knows the Netherwing Drake. And if you don't know it by name, here's what they look like. These were like, seeing the Burning Crusade, this was like the coolest, like the Ashes of Alar and these guys, they were like the coolest mounts to own, right? Now, the way that this worked is you did a reputation, right? It was maybe 30 days of some grinding, 20 days, whatever, and you get this mount at the end. So you'd see people with that and you think, oh, wow, you did that. That reputation was like the only time you saw Illidan outside of the Black Temple raid, which is quite bizarre. Later on, in Mists of Pandaria, you had the Order of the Cloud Serpent, where it's basically, that sort of Chinese dragon. I think they look awesome, but you learned how to ride one over the course of that reputation, and at the end of the reputation, you got to buy the mounts. Then what happened in Warlords of Draenor, right? It was before Warlords. They had this, the Fey Dragon. Now, the Fey Dragon is, it's a pretty cool looking mount. There it is. Now, this is something that's quite hilarious because this just appeared in the store out of the blue. It was only in 2014's Warlords of Draenor expansion that we saw a place in Shadowmoon Valley called the Dracorium. And it turned out that that's actually where the local Draenei raised these Fey dragons. And that's when I realized it. This was a store mount. Why can I not earn one in-game? Because it was a store mount. And then I think back to the Order of the Cloud Serpent. And what do I think? I'm like, oh yeah. Remember the way that I had this whole reputation where I, helped the people who do things with the Cloud Serpents? I learned how to ride one, and then I got one at the end, and that was a cool piece of content. Then I looked at Warlords of Draenor, I was like, why is there not a reputation at the Dracorium? And at the end, I get the mount that they raise at the Dracorium. Because it's a store mount. And as time went on, we saw this pattern more and more and more. You have the likes of the Silvarian Dreamer. It's quite a beautiful looking mount that, as it turns out, is raised in Ardenweald in the Shadowlands expansion. Why can we not earn a Silvarian Dreamer in-game? Because it was a store/6th month subscription bonus mount. It wasn't in-game content. And then a lot of the time when you look at the mounts in World of Warcraft these days, it very much is the case that okay, personal preferences are applied to this. There's many cases I do prefer the in-game mounts included in my sub to, I can just go and earn. Often I do prefer those to the store ones, but generally speaking, the store mounts have the most love and attention. They are the highest ticket items. The encorseled whatever worm, there's another, like a mana worm that is one of the taxi point mounts in Dragonflight. And again, that was a pre-order bonus or on the store. So they're continually basically grabbing things from the next expansion and they're putting them in the store now. So instead of that, being a cool, very thematic reputation where, we maybe raise a dragon at the end, we get the dragon as a mount. No, it's stuff in the store. That's just like one example of how something could be a really cool in-game reward that could be tied to content that you would want to play and a story that the developers of the game would love to make, but instead it was yanked out of that and it was put onto the store. And it's just a very short-term carrot. And I think for me, all I see here is short-termism. Everywhere, short-termism. Can you imagine if Overwatch did not lose cultural capital? Can you imagine if with Overwatch they said, listen, everyone, we really cocked up development. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to you guys, the players, and I'm sorry to the team because they worked on a lot of stuff and it's just not going to see the light of day. This sucks. What we're going to do is we're going to make the best of it. We're going to launch Overwatch 2 and it's going to be like this. And then they hadn't done all the things that turned the players against them. You can still have a battle pass, but put enough Overwatch coins in the battle pass to earn the next one. And if you're not going to do that, make it be a battle pass that never expires and can be swapped back to, like the Halo Infinite one. They could have kept on doing things like that would have actually felt good to players. But at every single turn, the move towards the short-term money thing was made. Even Diablo 4. D4, great launch experience. Very fun first time, fun playing through it and different characters, different builds. Season 1, undercooked. It's just not that big of a season. The end game, undercooked, right? That's not the time to start putting in your hyper expensive cash shop. I know you want the money now. I know the short-termism of the people who ultimately sign off on the budget for the dev team. Their short-termism is very strong and they want the money now. But the thing is, you do it too early and, what are you doing? Cutting your face to spite your nose? Cutting your nose to spite your face? Basically, Blizzard Entertainment hurt itself in its confusion. Just the confusion is a bunch of, I don't know if the friggin' MBAs get in. Because that's the sad thing with Blizzard Entertainment. Their artists are magnificent, The cinematics they can put together are incredible. Their games look incredible. Overwatch 2 is gorgeous. So many of those characters, even Alari, the new hero. Oh, what a great design. Really fun to play hero. Really great, character design, the voice, everything's just pitch perfect. Great game developers. Absolutely being led by people guilty of a lot of short-termism. And that short-termism is obviously causing a lot of long-term harm. And that is how Blizzard has been able to snatch cultural defeat from the jaws of victory. Because the thing is, Overwatch 2 is a really fun game. It has problems, but the core mechanics, it's fun. Diablo 4 is a pretty damn good action RPG. Maybe you might prefer PoE's flavor of it, but it's not a bad game. World of Warcraft Dragonflight. It's the best modern World of Warcraft expansion, hands down. It's not as cool as Legion, but it's not as systemically batshit as any of the recent expansions. It's a great expansion. That's why I say defeat from the jaws of victory. World of Warcraft's got a great expansion. Overwatch 2, when it is just the game the devs made and not everything else around it, is a great game. Diablo 4, flawed, great but with flaws. They had everything to win. We all know who and what forces have ended up in all those victories just being made impossible. What a crazy and sad situation. I think most of all sad, because like for us, we can just go do something else. But for the people who work in these games, who can, like the people, you work on a Larry, and you try to make a Larry the best hero you can. You make all the skins, you put a lot of effort in, you animate everything to be just right. Your release comes out and it's 9% on Steam, and the whole internet's against you. Can you imagine how shit that's going to feel to that person? And in a reality where every bit of work that they did was stellar. The new PvP maps, let's say they're stellar. It wouldn't matter. The developers are being so screwed over by the people who lead them. That ultimately is the situation that we are left with. Blizzard is turning the screw. This is a company that needs to start playing the long game. It's as simple as that. Long-term thinking gets you long-term results. That's what you need. Short-term thinking does damage. That's what we're seeing. That's it for me. Of course, check out our sponsor. They support and actually make this show possible. I would not be able to, if it was just YouTube AdSense money, we are running significantly in the red. It is sponsors that actually let us keep the lights on. So thank you to them. With that said, I'll see you next time.